So let's start with the presentation, if you want. I'm Fuentes Martinez, and I'm going to present the work Can Multimodal Large Language Models Read Music Score Images, a work done by Jorge Calvo-Zaragoza, Noelia Luna-Barahona, Antonio Ríos-Vila, and myself, Fuentes Martinez. We are from the Pattern Recognition and Artificial Intelligence Group from the University of Alicante. First of all, I'm going to explain the motivation to this work. We're in the epoch of large language models and more so multimodal large language models like ChatGPT. So I think I wouldn't be wrong if I say that almost everyone here, almost everyone here has uploaded at least once an image to ChatGPT and asked it what was in the image, photo, a picture, or a text document. And it works almost perfectly. It can identify elements in a photo, it can read documents with minor fails, or more technically speaking, it can perform computer vision tasks. So when we, as optical music recognition researchers, tell someone what we do, it's very common to receive the so-no answer. Doesn't ChatGPT do that? And it's normal to believe that ChatGPT do that, can perform OMR too, as it is indeed a subtask of computer vision. But let me ask you the question, can ChatGPT do that? Let's dissect that question into more concrete ones, like, do multimodal large language models know how to read music scores? If so, how much do they know? How much information they can retrieve from a musical image, and how much musical knowledge do they have? And is there a model that excels at this task? Is there a model which is the best from all the ones who are? Not that this is a preliminary test, where the evaluation has been done by reading the answers and seeing if they are correct or not. To conduct the experiments to answer all that unknowns, all that questions, the following pipeline was implemented. First, a musical excerpt and a prompt with the question was uploaded to the multimodal large language model. This was the input of the model. And then we expected an answer. 4 questions were formulated, and they were, the first one, can the multimodal large language model identify which piece the excerpt belongs to? The second one, can it transcribe the excerpt? The third one, can the model identify the tonality of the excerpt? And last but not least, can the multimodal large language model recognize the type of music? And those questions were asked about 3 different music types. First of all, vocal music with an excerpt of My Way from Frank Sinatra. Second one, monophonic music from an excerpt of Ode to Joy from Beethoven. And the last one, piano music excerpt, the Turkish March from Mozart. Here you can see a summarizing table of the 10 results, where the check is where the green check is the questions that were answered correctly, the red cross, the ones who were answered wrongly, and the blue the blue symbols is like more or less it could be understood that it answered correctly. All questions were asked to 5 different models: ChatGPT, Gemini, Llama, Mistral, and Claude. And we collected and analyzed their answers from 3 different types of music, as I said. First, let's dive into ChatGPT results. As you can see, almost the vocal music was almost correctly answered in all the questions, but whereas the monophonic and piano, not so good. And the 4th question, which is which type of music it is, was answered perfectly in the 3 types of music. This is going to be repeated in almost the other 4 models, except Llama, that we could say that it performed better in the monophonic music. You can see in Mistral it's the same, and the same from Claude. So if we take an overall look, we could say that the last question, which is which type of music is it, was the best answer from among all the models. That is because, we said, the models know how to do computer vision, know how to do this layout analysis. So they can identify if there was only 1 system, 2 systems, or if the systems were with some music, with some lyrics with them. And that's why also the type of music that worked the best was the vocal music. because this type of music is, we could say, like 50% OMR and 50% OCR, optical character recognition, a task which these multimodal large language models can do really well, as we know. So that's why this type of music was the one which achieved the better results. So after seeing and studying all the results, we can answer the question. No, ChatGPT cannot perform optical music recognition yet. So our conclusion is that companies behind multimodal large language models do not care yet about niche applications like optical music recognition. So we, as OMR researchers, have the opportunity to help in this with our knowledge in the field by, for example, fine-tuning models to accommodate music reading capabilities, building foundational models for optical music recognition, and building multimodal large language models that understand music score images. Well, that's the presentation. I hope you all enjoy, and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. You're well in time, so I think we have time for a few questions. Let's start with participants, so feel free to either raise your hand or type your question into the chat and I'll read it out loud. Okay, we have Jan. Go first.
So is this what you expected, or was it better than you thought, or worse?
Well, I think we expected it to be wrong, but there was one model was the cloth, which performed like kind of, as you can see, like the third question was answered really correctly, so that like shocked us a little bit. But yeah, we expected the vocal music to be the best one, as it has this lyrics part, which has this optical character recognition component.
Thanks.
Okay, Tristan?
Can you hear me first?
Yeah.
Yes.
Nice, perfect. First, thanks for the great talk. And I wanted to ask about, could you please specify more what the criteria for the red cross, for the green check mark, and the blue wave line is?
Yes, we asked the questions that we had like a normalized prompt, that it was the same prompt for the 5 models and for the 4 questions, and then we read the answers. And for example, in the transcription, sometimes it was just like an empty kern, so we decided that this was not a correct answer, because it knew that he had to give us a kern, because he did indeed the layout analysis, so he knew it was a system, but he didn't understand anything of the content of the system. So that's where the red cross, the green check, and we were a little bit like light in that evaluation. So that's why we have these blue signs, where it could understand that it maybe the model understand a little bit, but it wasn't enough for the green check.
I see. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So we had someone else, but I think that hand disappeared now.
Yeah, it was me. I was just asking what the output is that you queried the model to transcribe, but you already answered that you used Kern for that.
All right. Do we have any questions in the chat? Nope. Okay, I'll go ahead. Maybe ask one or two. So maybe the first one on the data sets that you used. So do you think there could have been some bias already? Some of the scores might have already been in the data set in other formats. So do you think there would have been some information that is kind of leaking from the model itself, knowing those scores?
Well, it happened like a funny thing, that in the first experiments, it was myself who was wrong, who did this failure, we could say, this fail, because I uploaded the photos with the title. I didn't change the title to excerpt 1 to know what, for me to know what kind of music it was. So the model read the metadata and answered the questions perfectly. So I had to change to like sample names in order to avoid that leak of information, we could say. But sometimes, for example, from the My Way, when it could when the OCR performed the lyrics, it knew the title of the music, and also in the transcription sometimes it transcribed more music that was in the excerpt because it knew what the information of the music was, because he knew the music.
Yeah, so it would have been good, I guess, to have some samples that are, well, like written by someone else, or that don't have any musical meaning, just to see how well it would perform in those cases. But then we would lose some of the like musicology side of it. What other question do I have? Yeah, I guess more about the evaluation methods. What do you see, since we don't use the same evaluations that we already use in OMR? And that is another big question that we discussed earlier. But I guess if you can talk a little bit more on how did you decide that something is correct or not?
Well, now this is like I have said, like a preliminary test, so we don't have like a evaluation metric. So
Yeah.
it was more like we, as researchers, seeing the answers, studying the answers, and in trying to interpret them. If from the interpretation we could say that the model answered us correctly as we expected, with the information we expected, or with the structure we expected, it was like considered correct. If not, it was considered wrong, or this semi-wrong, semi-correct answer.
Right. Well, thank you for answering all the questions. I don't see any other questions, but if you have any, feel free to put it in the chat, and then we can discuss it at the end of the session as well. But in the meantime, we can thank Eliseo
Yes.
for a good presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.